Ever wonder which car features, once considered game changers, just didn't stick around? From retro record players to outdated pop-up headlights, let's explore 20 innovations that turned out to be more of a flash in the pan than a lasting change. Curious to know which ideas didn't stand the test of time? Let's take a ride through automotive history to uncover these forgotten relics. Number 20. Bench seats.
Phone, other things. I think, we talk a lot about a bench seat and it's kind of snuggling up to your date or to your special
I miss those
someone.
days.
I know, it was kind of fun. You think about bench seats and pickup trucks and
Bench seats were once the epitome of car comfort. Stretching across the entire width of the car, these seats allowed for 3 people to sit comfortably up front, making them especially popular from the 1920s to the 1980s. Their appeal was clear: more seating space, ease of use, and the freedom to slide from one side to the other. For families and groups, it was a solid option. However, as safety standards evolved, the drawbacks became undeniable. In the event of an accident, bench seats offered little protection. They lacked individual seatbelts and headrests, which were crucial for passenger safety. By the 1980s, automakers shifted to bucket seats, which offered better support and allowed for the integration of airbags and adjustable seatbelts. Though once beloved, bench seats simply couldn't keep up with the modern focus on safety. Number 19. Vent windows.
But even if you're hanging your arm out the window, like this car doesn't even have windows, but it has wing windows to kind of reduce the amount of air that's swirling around inside the cab of the vehicle. So the wing window was an important feature on the old cars before everything became automated.
Vent windows, those small triangular windows at the front corners of car doors, were a common feature starting in the 1930s. They allowed for airflow into the vehicle before air conditioning became the norm. This innovation was especially appreciated during the 1950s and 60s, when having a breeze in the car was a luxury. Drivers could tilt the vent windows open for fresh air without needing to fully open the main windows. Great for high-speed driving. But vent windows had their flaws. They leaked in the rain and provided an easy access point for thieves looking to steal valuables from inside the vehicle. As car designs evolved and air conditioning became standard, the need for vent windows disappeared. By the 1980s, automakers phased them out in favor of more aerodynamic designs that improved fuel efficiency and streamlined the overall look of vehicles. Number 18. Ashtrays. Ashtrays were once an essential feature in cars, a must-have for any smoker who wanted a convenient place to dispose of cigarette butts and ashes. Introduced in the early 20th century, they became a common feature by the 1950s. At a time when smoking was widespread, they served a practical purpose and became embedded in car designs, typically found in the dashboard or center console. But by the 1990s, smoking had lost its social acceptance, and with it, the demand for ashtrays. Public health awareness rose, and car manufacturers realized that ashtrays posed safety risks as potential fire hazards. As more people quit smoking or chose not to smoke, ashtrays slowly became obsolete. By the late 1990s, cup holders and storage compartments took their place, reflecting the shift in both societal habits and automotive priorities. Number 17. Record players.
Only for Chryslers and Plymouth and Dodge and DeSoto and 56 and 57. I don't know any of the songs.
In the 1950s, car manufacturers introduced in-car record players as an exciting new feature. These players allowed drivers and passengers to enjoy their favorite vinyl records while on the road, offering an entirely new in-car entertainment experience. At a time when the radio was the primary source of music, the concept of playing records in the car seemed revolutionary. However, the excitement was short-lived. The bumpy ride caused the needle to skip, leading to a terrible listening experience. The record players were bulky and took up valuable space inside the car. There were also safety concerns. Switching records while driving was distracting and dangerous. By the 1960s, in-car record players were phased out in favor of more practical alternatives like 8-track tapes and later, cassette players, which offered better sound quality and convenience. Number 16. Landau Bars.
Landau Bar, again, traditional funeral industry. It's been there from the beginning. Sometimes we build the cars with the window in the back. Some people like it, some people don't. But that's up to the funeral director because he typically, or she, certainly do know what works best.
Landau bars were ornamental features designed to mimic the look of convertible carriages from the 18th century. They were fixed to the side of cars, especially those with hardtops, to give them the appearance of a convertible. First seen in the 1920s and popular throughout the 1930s, they were often a symbol of luxury and elegance. However, the appeal of these bars soon wore off. They were purely decorative, serving no functional purpose, and they added unnecessary weight and complexity to the car. Additionally, Landau bars were prone to rust and damage, leading to maintenance problems. By the late 20th century, they were phased out and replaced by more practical features like sunroofs, which provided real benefits such as better ventilation and a more enjoyable driving experience. Number 15. Column shifters.
Putting it into reverse is simple. You pull back and up, that's reverse. If you want.
Column shifters were once a signature feature of American cars, first introduced in the 1930s. These gearshift levers were mounted on the steering column, freeing up space in the front seat and allowing room for an extra passenger. They were especially popular in the 1940s and 50s, a time when large family sedans and trucks were commonplace. The concept sounded good on paper, but in practice, column shifters were far from ideal. They lacked the precision of floor-mounted shifters, which led to issues with selecting gears. The linkage mechanism was prone to wear and could result in a malfunctioning system. As cars evolved and consumers began to demand sportier designs with more ergonomic features, column shifters lost their appeal. By the 1960s, they were replaced by floor-mounted shifters, offering better control and a more enjoyable driving experience. Number 14. Luggage racks.
This luggage rack I bought off Craigslist, and this came off of.
Luggage racks were all the rage during the mid-20th century, especially for family road trips. Mounted on the roof, they offered extra space for luggage when the trunk was too small to hold everything. They were a practical solution for long journeys, allowing families to bring more baggage without sacrificing passenger space. However, luggage racks presented significant issues. They added substantial wind resistance, which reduced fuel efficiency. They also posed safety risks, as improperly secured luggage could fall off and cause accidents. Additionally, the racks were prone to rust and damage, requiring frequent maintenance. As car designs evolved, manufacturers began to offer larger trunks and more efficient storage options, reducing the need for external luggage racks. Roof boxes and more aerodynamic designs provided safer and more practical alternatives, leading to the decline of luggage racks by the late 20th century. Number 13. Car phones.
So you can't take it out of your car, but it's probably the best seller in terms of price, $500 to $1,300, and performance.
Car phones were once considered a groundbreaking innovation, first introduced by the Bell system in 1946. These phones allowed drivers to stay connected while on the road, making them particularly popular among business professionals. However, despite the excitement of having a phone inside the car phones were bulky, weighing around 80 pounds and taking up a significant amount of space. The service had its drawbacks too. With a limited number of channels, car phones often experienced busy signals. The high installation and service fees made car phones a luxury, and the phone's size and weight made them impractical for everyday use. Safety concerns also arose, as using the phone while driving was distracting and dangerous. By the 1990s, car phones were replaced by mobile phones, which were more affordable, portable, and practical. Bluetooth and integrated car communication systems further reduced the need for dedicated car phones. Number 12. Hood ornaments.
257 of them were built. This one was an incredible survivor. Buick chose a beautiful woman to lead the way on this car, and they weren't alone with that choice. Cadillac was
Hood ornaments were once a staple of luxury cars, designed to add elegance and sophistication to a vehicle. They were mounted on the front of cars, often on the radiator cap, and were popular in the 1920s and 30s. Brands like Rolls-Royce and Cadillac became famous for their iconic hood ornaments, with the spirit of ecstasy and winged figures symbolizing wealth and prestige. However, hood ornaments were not without their issues. They posed safety risks in accidents, potentially injuring pedestrians. They were also prone to theft and damage, as valuable metal ornaments were an easy target. As car designs evolved toward more streamlined, aerodynamic shapes, the need for bulky ornaments diminished. By the 1960s, hood ornaments were phased out in favor of sleek, integrated logos that still communicated brand identity without compromising safety. Number 11. Pop-up headlights. Pop-up headlights were once the epitome of cool, futuristic car design. First introduced in the 1930s, these headlights could be hidden under the car's exterior when not in use, offering a sleek and aerodynamic appearance. Pop-up headlights became especially popular in the 1980s and 90s in cars like the Mazda MX-5 and Chevrolet Corvette. Though stylish, pop-up headlights had their flaws. The mechanical parts were prone to failure, leading to maintenance issues. Additionally, changing safety regulations made it harder for manufacturers to meet the new standards. Pop-up headlights also posed risks to pedestrians and accidents. By the early 2000s, they were phased out in favor of more reliable, fixed headlights, which offered improved safety and performance. Number 10. Floor dimmer switch.
Revolutionary is because it had a floor-mounted shifter, a clutch on the far left, brake in the middle, and gas on the right. The driving controls you would recognize in any modern car.
Introduced in the 1920s, the floor dimmer switch was a car innovation that allowed drivers to adjust between high and low beam headlights by pressing a button on the car floor with their foot. This design was convenient because it allowed drivers to keep their hands on the steering wheel while adjusting the headlights. It became particularly popular in the 1940s and 50s, especially in American cars. However, the floor dimmer switch had several drawbacks. Being on the floor, it wore out quickly and required frequent maintenance. The switch also struggled in wet or muddy conditions, as dirt and moisture affected its performance. By the 1980s, the floor dimmer switch was mostly replaced by steering column mounted switches, which were more reliable and allowed for advanced headlight controls, improving both convenience and driving safety. Number 9. Vinyl roofs.
Well, hello there, friends. So today we're going to get started on this vinyl top here. And you're saying, what? It looks like you just finished it. Well, to tell you the truth, whoever put this top on the last time,
Vinyl roofs were a trend in the 1960s and 70s, providing a luxurious look without the expense and complexity of a convertible top. These roofs, made from polyvinyl chloride, were popular on American cars like the Ford Thunderbird and Cadillac Eldorado. They gave cars a sleek, upscale appearance at a more affordable price. However, vinyl roofs had their problems. The material often cracked and faded over time, especially in harsh weather conditions. The adhesive used to attach the vinyl could deteriorate, causing peeling and bubbling. By the 1980s, vinyl roofs fell out of favor as more durable and low-maintenance options became available. Advances in paint technology and clear coat finishes offered a better, longer-lasting alternative, leading to the decline of vinyl roofs. Number 8. 8-track tape players.
Johnny Cash. Let's listen to Johnny Cash.
Introduced in the mid-1960s, 8-track tape players were a revolutionary way to listen to music in the car. Developed by Bill Lear of Learjet Corporation in collaboration with Ford and RCA, the 8-track system allowed for uninterrupted music playback without needing to flip the tape over. The format became particularly popular in the late 60s and 70s in the US. However, 8-track tapes had several significant issues. The tapes often jammed, and the sound quality degraded over time. The track switching mechanism also created a clicking noise, which detracted from the listening experience. By the early 1980s, the 8-track tape was replaced by more reliable formats, such as cassette tapes and later compact discs, which offered better sound quality, portability, and convenience. Number 7. Automatic seat belts. Introduced in the late 1980s, automatic seatbelts were designed to improve car safety by automatically securing passengers when the car door was closed. The idea was to make seatbelt use more common, as many drivers and passengers often forgot to buckle up. At first, automatic seatbelts seemed like a great idea, but soon they encountered significant drawbacks. They only secured the upper body, leaving the lap belt to be fastened manually, which many passengers skipped. This led to severe neck injuries in the event of an accident. Additionally, the mechanisms often malfunctioned, reducing the overall effectiveness of the seatbelt. By the mid-1990s, automatic seatbelts were phased out in favor of airbags, which provided more comprehensive protection. Number 6. Tail fins. Tail fins were a hallmark of 1950s automotive design, introduced to give cars a futuristic look, inspired by jet airplanes. First appearing on the 1948 Cadillac, tail fins became popular as a symbol of progress and modernity, with models like the 1959 Cadillac Eldorado boasting massive fins. However, the practical benefits of tail fins were minimal, and the trend eventually faded. The fins were mostly a marketing gimmick, offering little real value. They added unnecessary weight and complexity to vehicles and obstructed rear visibility, making parking and reversing difficult. By the mid-1960s, car manufacturers began to move away from tail fins in favor of more practical and aerodynamic designs. Number 5. Push button.
Up underneath the dash, we've got the main control unit, and with the control unit, there are actually a couple of safety features. So one of those safety features is
push-button transmissions were introduced in the 1950s as a way to simplify gear shifting and free up space inside the car. Chrysler led the charge with its push-button transmission system, released in 1956. Drivers could select gears using buttons on the dashboard instead of a traditional gear lever. While initially popular, push-button transmissions soon faced reliability issues. Electrical malfunctions were common, with blown fuses and faulty components causing significant frustration. Additionally, drivers accustomed to traditional gear levers found the push-button system confusing, leading to mistakes. As the automotive industry progressed, push-button transmissions were phased out in favor of more traditional, reliable gear shifting systems. Number 4. White wall tires.
Breaking line of white wall tires, designed for those who demand the best, with best-in-class speed and load ratings, extended tread life.
White wall tires were a hallmark of luxury cars in the early 1900s. Made by adding zinc oxide to the rubber, they became a symbol of sophistication and were particularly popular in the 1950s and 60s. Car owners admired the elegant look of white wall tires, associating them with high-class automobiles. However, White wall tires were difficult to maintain. The white rubber showed dirt easily, requiring constant cleaning. Additionally, manufacturing them was more complicated and expensive than making standard black tires. As car designs shifted and black tires became the norm, the popularity of white wall tires waned. By the 1980s, white wall tires had largely been replaced by black tires, which were easier to maintain and more cost-effective. Number 3. Curb feelers. Curb feelers, also known as curb finders, were a popular feature in the 1950s and 60s, especially on cars with easily scuffed white wall tires. These metal wires or springs attached to the lower part of the car near the wheels, designed to alert drivers when they were too close to the curb while parking. Although curb feelers helped prevent damage to tires and hubcaps, they had several issues. They were noisy and could be embarrassing, especially when scraping against the curb. They were also prone to damage and breakage. With the advent of parking sensors and cameras, curb feelers became obsolete. Modern cars now provide more accurate and reliable assistance, making curb feelers a relic of the past. Number 2. T-tops. T-tops were a popular feature in cars during the 1970s and 80s. This design had 2 removable roof panels with a solid bar running down the center, creating a T shape. The idea was to give the open-air feeling of a convertible while keeping the safety of a hardtop. While T-tops were initially popular, they had significant drawbacks. The panels often leaked, leading to water damage and rust. Removing and storing the panels was inconvenient, and the central bar obstructed the open-air experience compared to a full convertible. As car technology improved, T-tops were replaced by more reliable options, like sunroofs and panoramic roofs, which offered a better driving experience. Number 1. Woodies.
This week, I'm in South Jordan, Utah to check out a couple cars in the collection of Ron Thorne. Now, Ron's focus is early Ford V8s, and he's probably got the most complete collection of convertibles, cabriolets, and Woodies on the planet. But today I thought we'd pull out a couple of Ron's Merc Woodies.
Woodies, or Woody wagons, were popular in the 1930s and 40s. These cars featured wooden body panels, a practical option during the Great Depression when metal was scarce. Woodies were prized for their unique appearance and spacious interiors, making them great for families and outdoor trips. However, maintaining the wooden panels was costly, as they required regular care to prevent rot and weather damage. By the 1950s, metal bodies became more affordable and durable, and safety concerns arose as Woodies were less crashworthy than all-metal cars. As metalworking technology improved, manufacturers shifted to all-steel bodies, and the popularity of Woodies declined. These 20-car innovations dazzled with their promises, but ultimately failed to endure. Their short-lived existence teaches us about the challenges of staying ahead in automotive technology. From the short-lived charm of vinyl roofs to the decline of automatic seatbelts, we've seen that even the most exciting ideas can fade away in time. What innovations do you think will fade away next? Have any of these innovations ever made an impression on you? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Vintage Cars for more amazing automotive content.